Thank you, sir. Good afternoon. This is the Town of Darien Sewer Commission regular meeting of Tuesday, January 4th, 2022 at 4:30 p.m. via remote video conference only using the town's go-to meeting platform as posted with the clerk on the agenda. Calling the meeting to order. Well, I had 4:32, but feel free to say 4:31 in your minutes.
4:32.
And I heard that, so let's see, February 22nd will be 2/22/2022. Very exciting day. Very exciting day for us number files.
I like that.
Yeah, I'll call you at 2:20 in the morning just so you're awake to look at the clock.
Yeah. Good deal.
All right, item 2 on the agenda is approving our meeting minutes from December 7th.
Couple little
What do you got?
on the Christie Hill. I'm not sure whether it's Cameron or I seconded the motion, but one of them ought to be scratched out.
I saw that too.
Doesn't
And
really matter.
So it can't be Cameron Winkle?
no.
Okay.
Cameron Winkle. Well,
That'd be a cool name.
but then the next one that I found in the sewer budget discussion, it comes down where it says meeting next week to discuss a very large portion of the money, federal money. I think we can do without the first money.
Okay. Can you tell me the page?
That's on page 3 or 4, item 5, next to last sentence. I would knock out the word money before federal money.
You got that, Darren?
With the way they're inflating money, it might be appropriate.
Then maybe we need 2 monies, especially if it's federal money.
Okay, portion of the federal money is how you think it should read, correct?
Correct. Susan, did you have anything?
Unless you want to leave that and put federal money in commas, it's up to you.
No, that's fine. Reese, anything on the minutes?
No.
Bob?
No, I'm good.
All right. Can I get a motion?
I'll make a motion
Got a
to,
motion.
Oh, there's Cameron Winkle again.
Yeah. Gentlemen, it's all Cameron's.
All right. Susan makes the first and Peter makes the second. That's the way I heard it in terms of the tie. And we have a motion on the floor to approve the minutes. Any further discussion on the minutes? Hearing none. Roll call vote. Bob?
Yes.
Reese?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
Susan?
yes.
And Craig's a yes. So minutes are approved. We're on to the next item on the agenda. Sewer user fee appeals discussion and action. We have 266 West Avenue, Michael Wu up to plate on item 3A. All right. Is this a repeat?
Yes.
Yes, we didn't have enough information to do anything, and unless we have new information, I think we're still in the same predicament.
Why don't we push it one more month and just see?
Yeah, they had submitted an email. This is from us to them, asking if they have any more information. And I assume you did not get a response.
Penny did not receive any further information, no return email, and no callback.
Okay.
0 contact, 0 new information.
Table it one more month. I agree.
Make a motion. We table it.
Okay. Peter on a first.
Yep. Second, Reese.
Reese on a second. Roll call vote. Reese.
Yes.
Bob.
Yes.
Susan.
Yes.
Peter.
Yes.
I agree. So moving on to item 3B, 54 Kensett Lane. I see Joanne Hennessy on the call to discuss the nature of your sewer appeal.
Yes, hi. Good to see you guys again. I've missed
Yeah.
y'all. Yeah, we moved back to, we live most of the year now in South Carolina. We sold 72 Holly Lane, where I never had a sewer bill that got into a second, needed two payments. I just got this bill that, from 54 Kensett. I stopped in this summer to the sewer commission office and was told it was based on usage from October, March of 20 to 21, when 54 Kensett belonged to the prior owners. We bought it in June. I've submitted for your review our actual sewer bills for Kensett from the summer, which I was told, you don't usually use the summer because water usage is higher. I've also given you our bills from the time period you usually use for here down in Pua Island. And actually the usage is a little higher here because irrigation is on a different schedule, but you can see that our usage is very nominal. We never paid this much on Holly Lane. And so what I'm asking for is a one-time adjustment to reflect our actual usage. I did go ahead and pay both things because we're gone a lot and I didn't want to be late. So I'm asking for the adjustment, and I don't mind if you hold the money on my account to credit to next year's sewer bill, but I think our actual usage shows that
Yeah, it looks like your actual usage very similar to.
there's just two of us.
I'm getting a
and
lot of,
owners
hold on
have
one
paid
second.
money.
I'm getting a lot of feedback. It might have been Bob scraping around that.
I think it's Bob, it lights up when I hear that noise.
Yeah, okay. Looks like your actual usage is between 200 and 300 cubic feet a month, which would probably be in the range of a minimum charge if we annualized it. And we have been, when presented with more accurate information than the information we have to rely on, we have generally been in favor of such appeals, but I'll open it to commission members for discussion.
I will stay with what's been past practice up till this time and make a motion to amend the sewer bill to the minimum charge of $260.36.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, any further discussion on the motion to grant the appeal down to $260.36? Hearing none, I'll ask for a roll call vote. Susan?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
Reese?
No.
Bob?
Yes.
I am a yes, so that's 4-1. Appeal is granted. Nice to see you again.
Thank
Hope the
you.
weather's nicer in South Carolina.
It is. I did pay the full $600+. How do you want to handle the balance? What works for you guys?
We'll take care of it. You'll get a new bill.
But I already, will I get a check back or do you
You'll
want
probably
to?
get a check. Yeah, get a check back for.
Okay, and will that go to the Kensett address?
Yes, it will.
Okay. Yeah, I have someone looking at my mail. I'll tell her to be sure not to throw it out.
Okay.
Thank you,
Sounds
guys.
good. Have a good
Appreciate
night.
all your work. Hopefully I'll see some of you next summer. I miss all our prior interactions. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, so moving on past the sewer user fee appeals, we are now on
Craig?
item 4. Yes, sir.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. Just as we've been doing with all these where we go back, I will have Penny add this one to the list also to review and make sure that the decision that we made is within tolerance for you folks to accept.
Yeah, I mean, I like the idea of mapping appeals that we grant and appeals that we deny, putting them into categories and making sure we have consistency in our actions, right? And it still seems reasonable to put together, a 1 or 2 or 3 page document that says, for these sorts of appeals with this sort of information, this tends to be how the commission reacts. I don't think it's a policy document, if you will.
Okay.
Thank you for mentioning that. All right, item 4, we ready? Which is 40 Hanson Road sewer connection discussion and potential action. Fair amount of information provided between last meeting and this meeting. I am developing a better understanding of what's happening, but who is going to lead the discussion? Darren, is that you, or are we looking to Mr. Calvi?
I'd be fine to give an overview. Could I please ask who caller number 3 is?
Hello, this is Molly Callaghy.
Hi, Ms. Callaghy. I'll just put your name
Yes,
up
I'm
here.
sorry. I'm having a little trouble with the Zoom thing, so I hear without a picture, which is fine with me anyway.
That's fine.
And my husband is not on the call because he can't be. So it's me.
That's fine. For the people who can see, they can now see your name at least, so when you speak.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
I'll summarize it, and then you folks can jump in and say whether you agree or if I missed something.
Okay.
Back in the early 80s, the 2 properties, 40 Hanson Road and their neighbor, were owned by the same person. 2 laterals were installed from those properties on the same lot to discharge pressure, low pressure sewer, into the gravity sewer at Hollow Tree Ridge Road. The 2 low pressure sewers are separate laterals. A subdivision occurred at some point. Mr. Calvi built a house for Mrs. Callaghy, and they utilized the sewer lateral that was in place. Since then, they've had trouble with the lateral. And it's my understanding from Reese, who was out there today, that there's actually some sort of blockage in the line, which I wasn't aware of, that there was something pending that was imminent, such as an issue like a blockage. I met with Mr. Calvi and Mrs. Callaghy, and we talked about the developer sewer that's there. I shared all the information that was available and the reasons for the developer's agreement and the developer's costs that he incurred, and how the developer's agreement outlines how they get those costs back. Since then, the commission has had a number of questions. The agenda package included the developer's agreement, a benefit appraisal for another property within the project area. And we did peruse some of the previous minutes and unsuccessfully looking for information related to acceptance of the sewer, cost breakdown. And also since then, it's my understanding that Mr. Cameron, Mr. Hutchinson met on the site and noticed that there was a trench. We were asked to find if there was any digging that had gone on in the area of 40 Hanson. We did find one permit for some underground utility electrical, which we forwarded to all the commissioners. Mr. Calvi and Mrs. Callaghy are now aware of that. They haven't known about that until we just presented it. So with all that information, the issue, as I see it, and I believe it's been explained to me, the Callaghys would prefer not to install a new lateral, nor continue to repair the existing lateral, because that pipe is constructed of material that we wouldn't allow nowadays. It looks more like an irrigation pipe from what I can tell. And the $40,000 benefit appraisal, which was done, I believe, in 2007, is not something that's desirable to them. They would like to connect into the developer's sewer and not pay the $40,000. And the developer's agreement, in my opinion, doesn't allow for that. I'm sure that the developer would be very happy to have another person that is a part of the project, because that provides him with an opportunity to recoup more of his costs that he never thought he would recover. In other words, if the Calagys just simply replaced or repaired their lateral line all the way to Hollow Tree Ridge Road, well, that's the reason why they were never included in the developer sewer in the first place. So here would be an opportunity for the developer, Core Law LLC, to recoup some more money than they might be if the Calagys did not connect to the sewer. And with that said, staff does not have the authority to supersede any previous agreement. There is a developer's agreement in place which clearly spells out how the developer is going to recoup some of his money for outlaying $300,000 plus in the first place, which every indication is he won't recoup nearly the pro rata shares necessary to make him whole. Those are the issues.
Bob or Ms. Callaghan, do you have anything else to add to Darren's recap? Bob, you're on mute.
Yeah, I just turned myself
Oh,
on.
I'm sorry, I meant Bob Calvi, Bob, first.
Yeah.
Let's hear from Bob
Oh,
Calvi.
sorry. There you go. Got it?
Yep,
I hear you. So, yeah, since we met at the site a few weeks prior to Christmas, we did do some. What happened?
Those are the 4 new people.
Oh, you can't hear me.
What happened?
I don't know.
I can hear you.
How about
You're
now?
still good.
I can hear you. I never lost you.
Everybody
I
good?
never- Darren, can you hear me?
Can you hear us, Darren?
I think we're good.
So we ended up, Darren, jetting the line from top and bottom and came up with about 100-foot dead zone in the vicinity of where the electric work was done.
What happened?
Craig, can you hear?
I can hear you still.
Yeah, I
Ed,
can
can
hear
you hear
you.
us?
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, Darren summed it up. To replace a 1,200-foot line.
There you go. We just started hearing you again now.
Sorry, everybody good?
Yeah, now I hear you great. Okay.
So anyhow, I think Darren summed it up well, but there is some kind of blockage in the line for All-Stars jetting of the line. About 100 feet.
What is happening with the sewage right now?
Since there's only 2 people in the home, they are pumping the tank periodically every few days with a septic truck.
Got it. Yeah, I went over the developer's agreement and the information from last time. I tend to agree with staff's summary in that it pretty clearly says if you want access to the line that was built, $40,000 is effectively the number to get access to it. I'd be happy to send that to our town attorney for a second opinion, but I kind of guess that it's going to say the same thing, unless you can get a hold of the original developer and work out a better deal. That's my guess. That's not a vote. Obviously, we can hear from all commission members on this and take action as appropriate. That's my initial thinking.
Can
I jump in? I'm sorry I lost audio for a second. I don't know what happened to the headset. But I can find Peter Corbett All I'm saying is, whatever happens has to occur between the Sewer Commission and Peter Corbett. Those are the parties that are a party to the agreement. Of course, you can seek a legal opinion too, because I'm not a
But then,
lawyer.
of course, time is another factor here, right? And unfortunately, we're only meeting once a month, but we could meet for a special meeting if we needed to. But that's still, you're still pumping out that tank.
Yeah, and listen, we're not against going to try and dig and find it, but we just kind of wonder if we're chasing our tail that we could find one spot. And right now it seems like 120 feet that are kind of on a dead zone in the middle there. Hopefully in the shoulder of the road. There's electrical stuff underground there. There's water services. There's the adjacent neighbor's sewer line adjacent to our sewer line. So it could be done. It's just going to be very, it's just hard to know where the end game is.
I understand.
You guys understand. And ladies, we're just trying to get a new lateral to a relatively new line. We know we'd be home free.
That's probably
the agreement. I've done a developer's
if
agreement.
we started from the beginning, that's the way we would have wanted it.
Exactly. And that's where we are now.
But there's some paper in the way.
Yes, understood.
I have a question.
Yes, Peter.
The sewer line that's blocked, was that put in by the developer?
No.
As far as you know?
In 1989,
No.
yes.
The sewer lines
Yeah, go ahead, Darren.
sewer lines are individual laterals, and they were installed around 82. The developer sewer wasn't put in until 2005-ish. And they were not included in the developer's project because they were already connected to the sewer and didn't want to incur additional cost to the cost of the lateral that was already there installed and serving their properties.
Makes sense.
To clear it up in my mind, they're asking now to connect to the developer's sewer line?
That's correct.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and you know what? Who knows? Coincidences are, but there was excavation done in the area by another contractor. Who knows? Who knows how deep these laterals were, and no one would know.
Was it damaged recently?
Who knows, right?
Some action, yeah. So basically, we're at the point where it's you certainly have the right to maintain the lateral that had been in service for 35 years. Mm-hmm. And the commission's not going to obstruct you from doing that. And you can work with staff on whatever permits are necessary to do that maintenance in the right of way. And if you wanted to switch over to the new developer's sewer, it's at least the starting point is 40, unless the sewer commission and the developer can negotiate it down, which just costs time, and time is money in this situation too. I don't know. Do any other commission members have lots of questions or comments?
Well, Craig, I would just ask this question. Obviously it's a bilateral agreement between the sewer commission and the developer, but what would be wrong with Bob or the homeowner asking the developer, "Hey, can I make you an offer?" And the developer saying, "I've made a deal," and we say whatever, as long as the developer agrees, we'll agree. How would that be wrong?
I always love your out-of-the-box thinking, Reese, and it's customer friendly, and I certainly wouldn't be opposed to that as long as, we can come back and bless it, I suppose, and we can even do a special meeting to bless it, but as long as those two parties thought it made sense, that's fine with me. Certainly, if it sounds like if the value is 40, that developer is going to get 0 because you're going to go fix the lateral. So if you offer him something, he's going to get more than 0. And why not?
And as a commission, we would then get an updated, safer, more environmentally friendly connection.
Yeah. It's better in the long run.
They would have, if they get permission of the developer, they have to submit drawings on the lateral.
Yeah. That could be done under. The right to allow, I guess, is ours to do or not do, right? But just trenching and connection that could be handled administratively.
Craig, if that's feasible on the legal back end, whatever, what would be wrong with us permitting a connection possibility, provided an as-built, provided the agreement of the developer to move it forward without a special meeting? Why not allow staff to do that?
And Darren or Ed, do you have any direct concerns? I mean, the idea is consider a motion that would indicate that the commission would be comfortable with the property owner and the developer working on a fair and equitable agreement and price, and to allow a connection to the developer's main, because that's a better long-term solution.
I think there's a problem. It requires some sort of an amendment to the agreement, and that could be done easily enough if you had all parties speaking, and you could hold a special meeting. We could advertise it. The commission could, in 10 minutes, make a motion with the developer's concurrence. I'm gonna imagine that the commission would want at least town council to review it. That's kind of consistent with what you guys have always done before.
Yeah, we just want to take away the, you got to wait a month or 2 weeks to ask us a question and have us make some incremental action, right? The motion would assume everything goes well and assume all the boxes are checked and T's are crossed and I's are dotted, but that we give you an indication that we'd be supportive of that effort.
It sounds like with the direction you're suggesting, the first thing you'd want staff to do is try and track down Peter Corbett.
Well, so Bob Calvin, you've heard the discussion now. Do you have any thoughts or insight?
Yeah, I mean, obviously this is coming as a surprise. I think Mrs. Halligy and I, if we have a contact person, we could touch base with them, tell them the situation, and see what they say about, what they would want, if anything, to tie into that line. Right? If there was a non-starter, then it's a non-starter. Then we just start digging. So
we kind of have three options, right? So option number one is repair what you got, which you don't need the sewer commission for. You can work with staff. Mm-hmm. Option number two is tie into the developer's line in accordance with the developer's agreement, which we should probably take a motion allowing that option, but that comes with a $40,000 price tag. And then option three is kind of Reese's hybrid option, which is, hey, if you guys can work out something that makes you both happy, we're all for it, because that's a better solution in the end.
Look, Craig, in a way, if 2 is approved, all the other ancillaries are secondary. At least then we've approved the connection, the possibility of the connection as being more environmentally sound for the commission, and fewer lines that could fail, and findings like that. And then if everything else needs to be cleaned up later, we clean it up later with another meeting, with a special meeting, whatever needs to happen to make it happen quickly. But I didn't see the third step. I like that.
So your motion would be one that says something like commission allows the connection subject to the provisions of the original developers agreement, or
any
amendment thereto agreed to by all parties concerned.
With an as-built.
There really are two things going on. One, that the sewer line has to be built according to the agreement, but one can always argue for a different price with the original builder of the sewer line.
Yep.
I mean, one is always free to bargain, but once they've bargained, if they come to a different price, then they still have to agree to the technical specifications that are in that agreement.
Got to meet
2 parts. I would go and try and see what you can do with them, because the rest of it is already specified, isn't it?
Yeah, and town standards.
Come back and then wrap it all up in one meeting.
So Bob Hill, I haven't heard from you. Do you have any thoughts, questions, or comments?
My only question is this setting precedent so that every person that wants to connect to this can now negotiate as opposed to going through the contract?
Why couldn't they
There is
before?
no,
I'm
There's
just
no-
asking the question. I'm not saying one way or the other.
there's no legal, law or anything in legality that says you can't negotiate. You can always negotiate. You may be denied, but you can always ask.
Yeah, I mean, I see your point, Bob, and I agree. You can always ask, and a developer's agreement can always be amended, and it is up to us to choose whether or not to amend that developer's agreement. I suppose in terms of, I think the unique thing here is that this particular property had its own connection originally, and it didn't make sense to include into the developer's agreement. And so, to me, it's a unique situation. And usually when they get to our meeting agenda, it's a unique situation.
I agree.
That's the only comment I have there. I have a question after Mr. Calvi, Mrs. Calgary have left, only about the number that was somehow calculated here, but that they don't have to be. It's a public conversation, but it's not something they need to waste their time hearing.
Okay.
Anybody else have any other questions or comments?
Well, I was out there with Reese today, and it struck me that where it's blocked, it's going to be blocked for the neighbor as well, potentially blocked for the neighbor. Not as part of the Calagies thing, but as part of our due diligence, it would be good to reach out to them and make sure that everything's working properly.
Great idea.
We did see the pipe, and it is a weird pipe. It's broken in lots of places. So to try to go up the street will require digging. And if they can make a deal with the other developer, that would be fine with me, as long as Darren's happy with the end result.
Darren or Ed, you guys will reach out, or have someone reach out to the other owner of the other
Pretty sure.
insurance function.
I'm pretty sure we would have heard from Mrs. Wilson if anything was wrong with her, but we could definitely reach out to her.
That would be good.
All right, before I ask for a motion, any further information, either Ms. Callaghy or Mr. Calvi?
None for me.
No, I don't think so.
Okay. All right, so who wants to try to craft a motion?
Craig, I'll go with your option 2 there, that we approve a connection to the existing developer's sewer, subject to an as-built condition and everything done according to town code as approved by staff. Subject to the developer and the applicant coming to an agreement as to its permissibility
There's value.
and reviewed by town council.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion to grant a connection in accordance with the original developer's agreement or potential amendments thereto, following all technical specs prescribed by the town, and final review by town council. Any further discussion on the motion? All right, roll call vote. Reese?
Yes.
Susan?
Yes.
Bob?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
I am a yes as well, so that's 5-0. Good luck.
And Craig, I would just suggest that if anything close to what we've discussed as a motion is how it actually unfolds, due to the nature of everything, it should just be done quicker.
Yeah, I think it's public health concern, and so I think that staff feel empowered to have it resolved as quickly as they feel they can.
Get her done.
From the Calagies vantage point, we would be grateful for that.
Thank you very much.
All right. Have a good night.
night.
We'll go on the
Thank you,
agenda.
everybody.
Hi, folks.
If I can just have a minute here and someone can explain this to me. If you look at page 10 of 11, the map there that has the potential connections,
Yeah.
I'm really confused at how the three at the end of Hummingbird Lane constitute one connection. Because think of it this
I'll
way.
let Darren handle that. That's
Whoa. Wait, but let me finish my statement. If the two that were at the corner of Hummingbird changed their address from Hanson to Hummingbird, then you could have 5 on Hummingbird and less on Hanson. And
I think
it
the
just
one
doesn't
on the
make
corner,
sense.
the one on the corner has a Hummingbird mailbox now. I drove by it today.
But what I'm
think.
saying is if they changed their address and went out their laterals to Hummingbird, then it would be 5 off one connection, just because of going in a different direction. It doesn't. The common sense to me is not there. All right, go ahead, Darren.
Okay, the Connecticut General Statute says that defines a benefiting person as someone who is directly accessible to the sewer. It has nothing to do with what their address is. So the reason we put the number 9 there was for a potential extension on Hummingbird Lane. And the people for number 4 and 5 are already a part of the developer's sewer.
And in accordance with the statute, they have direct access to, because they have frontage on Hanson Road.
They are benefited. I mean, I suppose I see your point.
The folks at the end of Hummingbird do not have access, because they basically have to do their own extension to get down several hundred feet of Hummingbird to get to the developer.
So it's almost easier to say a but instead of access.
Yeah.
Correct?
But
Yes.
You think about it that way.
you're right.
I suppose you could
All right.
argue on the direct access if there was some, if there was a river and a ridge between the two, you could suggest they didn't have direct access, even if they had frontage. But
Yes, now that's illegal. That's what it says in the Connecticut General Statute. You do bring up an interesting wrinkle. What if 4 and 5 on this map said, yeah, I don't want to go in the developer's sewer because we'll develop a Hummingbird project for 5 people and then we'll pay $40,000 to connect, and maybe the price would be cheaper for them. It doesn't look like it to me that it would be cheaper, but it is an interesting wrinkle if they tried to ditch out of the sewer. It's not a town project, and we couldn't force them to pay an assessment just because they were directly benefited. I don't think so.
Well,
Okay.
I'm sure if we all serve long enough, we'll end up seeing that question someday.
I just, now that Darren mentioned the statute, it does make it much clearer. The other question I had on this is that evaluation was 15 years old. Does that evaluation stay in perpetuity?
Oh, it's even worse than that. It's completely gray, and it could be, in this case, done on a case-by-case basis. In this particular case, the appraisal that we showed the commission is for the one and only property that ever connected to the developer's sewer, aside from the developer himself. So if you look at that property and you look at another property within the project area that has a bigger house, has a bigger property, is potentially worth more, and then you say, well, it's also over 15 years old, that appraisal, it is very likely in addition to being conceivable that somebody would end up paying more than $40,000 now if an independent benefit appraisal was done on that property.
Although I feel like, I mean, that all may be true, but you know, the developers agreement got signed based on the information they had, and it seemed pretty clear that section you pointed out to me, which was, you know, you can charge this much, but no more than the benefit appraisal, which was 40.
For that house.
Yeah.
For that house. So I guess a way to clarify it is to note the differences between this and a town project. I'll try and be brief. If it was your project, you wouldn't go forward. Let's say the $40,000 was the least benefited property. You wouldn't go forward unless the assessment was predicted to be less. In this case, the developer couldn't do his project without the sewer. He spent whatever he had to spend. He overspent. He didn't have a choice. But in the developer's agreement, you're right, it says you can't charge more for something than it's worth because you folks are the administrator of that developer's agreement. And that's it. So in this particular case, we knew that the developer probably wasn't going to recoup a full pro rata share. The Sewer Commission at that time ordered staff to go out and get a benefit appraisal. We went to town council. They did. It came back at 40 for that particular house. Mr. Hill's right. 15 years plus old. Could be more on another property. It could be approaching the actual pro rata share.
Yeah.
It could be worth more than that if you couldn't locate a septic on a parcel that was developable but had trouble finding a B100 code compliant reserve, and et cetera.
Yeah.
Developable. Who wouldn't spend 50 grand for that or whatever? Case by case.
Absolutely. Not the way the benefit appraisal is performed, but I totally agree that absolutely. And the evidence to support your assertion is the fact that the developer paid almost $400,000 to put the sewer in because it was worth that much. The lot was unbuildable without the sewer.
Exactly. Yep.
That's not how it's done.
I'm going to move on. Item number 5 on the agenda. I guess this is going to be Ed, Save the Sound annual reporting.
Yeah, thanks. Thank you. Item number 5 is the cover letter and with the report spreadsheet of all the work that we've done over the past year as per required. It's a consent decree with the Save the Sound folks. So I do want to apologize. I did try to get this to you folks last month so you get a look at it before I sent it. But my schedule and the schedule for Arcadis didn't allow for that. And I apologize, but hopefully it meets your standards and what you thought would be in the report. More than happy to make adjustments for next year's report if you have any suggestions. I think I gave them, and I have to say Arcadis was a big help in getting this together, but I gave it to them in the order that they had presented it in the appendix for the consent decree. Try to keep it as simple as we could. There is a lot of information that will be provided next year because, to be quite honest with you, we are a little bit ahead of the game, but we haven't completed the SSES portion where we make construction recommendations and then go into construction work. A lot of that will be taken care of next year, and there'll be more opportunities to provide information in the back end section of the spreadsheet, if you will. I did mention that in the cover letter to the Save the Sound folks. I have not heard from them other than a notice from FedEx that it was delivered. No email, no acknowledgement, but I didn't really expect one. So, folks have any questions about what's in here or any questions about any upcoming deadlines that we have? I'm more than happy to talk about those.
two things. One on item X, that pesky Corbin catch basin, which we're not sure it exists or doesn't exist.
Well, we did through the dye testing find that there is infiltration coming from the sewer to the catch
Okay.
basin.
So that's more information than we had the last time when we talked about it, I think.
Correct. So the dye testing was done between the meeting and this meeting here.
Got it. And then money spent to date to repair the system. I was surprised it was so low. I thought we've been spending more money on things that we find, but maybe it's just the big one we're ready to get way on. Which I assume we'll hear about under the superintendent's report. Yes.
I'm sorry.
Oh, the Old Kings Highway pipelining coming up.
I want to talk about that too a little bit later in the meeting.
Yep.
Possibly under new business. But first, this is the first report of 5 that I have to do per the consent decree.
Yep.
So
I think it looks great, and I like the way you formatted it, and it's nice and simple and easy to consume, and it certainly does show the significant amount of work that has been done on analyzing the system. I remain excited to see the SSES report, and I guess we'll hear about that update too.
Absolutely.
Any questions on this document, item 5, pages 1 through 3?
That looks nice.
All right. I think that means we're on to the superintendent's report.
Okay. Item A, our study update. As you just heard, and I will confirm, the dye testing had been completed between Christmas and New Year's. We finished up around the 29th with the dye testing the structures and all of the pipes. They're going to put together a report that'll go in the SSES report with the holidays and everything. We haven't heard back from Arcadis. They were going to take there's some time off these people were taking. So we'll get in touch with them this week and next to get more information on the dye testing. Anything out there that we should be addressing immediately. We did find some pumps in some of the downtown buildings that they got into. Wells Fargo, CVS. I haven't heard back from the property on West Avenue that we're getting smoke out of one of the stacks. So that was one of the last ones they were getting into. So I hadn't gotten back information on that just yet. So that is forthcoming. The part that Craig is all excited about, and so am I, is the SSES report. We are supposed to get that at the end of this month. Hopefully before the next meeting, I'll get it out to you, even if it's a draft, so that you folks have a chance to start looking at it and digesting a lot of the work that has been done and hopefully the recommendations that go with it. That deadline was coming from Arcadis. I know it's about a month longer than we thought, but I have to say that we did run into some issues with getting dye testing done and smoke testing done, so that did push it out. And as I mentioned to you previously, our go-to person, Lindsay, had to take some leave, but I understand she's due back soon. So we're catching up. We're still ahead of the game, far ahead of the game than that consent decree has dictated for us. So, but I am excited to see what recommendations do come out of it.
So it doesn't sound like we're going to have this prior to our February meeting. Does it make, well, I guess it depends on our workload at the time. So then
I think it might be, Craig. They did say before the end of January. I know she has Cameron working on it right now.
Okay.
We're not waiting for someone to come back. They have someone else working on it, but.
So are we expecting them, or do we want them to come to make a presentation to us about the findings and go through them, or how do you want to handle this?
I would like that. I think February or, February or March, those meetings are a little bit light, generally speaking, once we get through the appeals, and I think we're pretty much through the appeals. But I'd like to have them come and maybe talk about what they found and, recommendations, what next steps we have, and what type of schedule we're looking at. I don't think they'd be adverse to doing that.
I would like that. Everybody else, you think that'd be a good thing, I assume?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Sure.
Sounds like that's the consensus of the group to get a presentation.
Okay, I'll let them know.
I mean, the only thing is, if they're going to do a presentation, we have to get it before time to try and disseminate it a little bit. I mean, even 2 days. If they can't do that, then they need to push it to March.
Yeah, we want to be able
my
to ask
opinion.
intelligent questions after having an opportunity to look through the report.
Absolutely. I'm going to give them a week before the meeting. I don't want to give you guys just the weekend. That's not fair. I also like to read through it also. So I think it behooves us all to get a good look at it before they come to talk about what's in it and what's next.
Excellent.
Yeah, I wasn't thinking 2 days the weekend. I was thinking 2 business days, but okay. Same difference. Not a problem.
Okay.
Now, our meeting is actually on the 1st in February. So, I wouldn't be opposed to a special meeting to hear their presentation either.
Okay. Somewhere in between the February and March meetings that you're looking at? You thinking
Yeah, it
maybe?
sounds like, unless they get it done ahead of time, but I would say play it by ear. If we're going to meet on February 1st anyway, if they get it done by the 25th, great, we'll hear about it on the 1st. If not, on the 1st, we can decide whether to have a special meeting on, say, the 15th or just wait till March.
Okay. That's fair.
Certainly don't want to delay.
No, I want to get going with this. The next one is the flood mitigation at near water Brookside. The benchmarks are now in place on the building and around the building. I think our next step is I'm going to take a look at it. I think Craig, you had shown some interest in it also, taking a look at determining what level or what elevation we protect those buildings at, so that we come up with a comprehensive plan and not have to go back a second time to raise anything or elevate doorways or walls, whatever it may be.
Sure, I have to go out there at some point.
Yeah, and I think that they're marked on the side of the building. I think there's orange paint on them too.
Okay. What is the elevation in orange paint? Was it just this is elevation X, or was it an attempt to map the flood elevation?
I'm sorry, you broke up.
Was it what elevation is marked, or is it clear? It's not the flood elevation, it's just a benchmark?
No, it's just a benchmark.
Okay.
It's just a benchmark. We can mark on the building anything we want after that. I just thought translating the benchmarks in and then interpreting the 100-year flood elevation, especially around Stony Brook, was critical. And I thought I wanted to be more involved in that, and I sounded like you did also.
Okay.
All right, so we'll find some time to do that, preferably when it's above 22 degrees.
I think I can handle it. I don't know. I'm starting to get that thing where you just get colder as you get older.
I think age has no thermostat. I think that's what the saying goes.
I know that thing. I know that thing.
Craig, you're just getting frugal. You're getting frugal in your old age.
Yeah,
It's time to,
just
it might be time to invest in heated clothing.
I'm wearing a sweater today.
Yeah, but I meant battery operated heated clothing.
All right, the third one, C, and I think I may be able to melt the other piece I wanted to talk to you about, but the video has been completed out there. I think we told you that it came back with some good information on the laterals not needing a whole lot of work, so that was good news. That's money saved. And they finished that in early December, I think just around the time that we were meeting. They are working on that design also at the same time as completing the Sses report. I did tell them I'd like them to focus on getting that report done, but I also need that design done too. So they may need to pull people in to help them get that done. I don't think I told them I'm not going to prioritize one above the other because I need them both done. So they're working on that design right now. She's supposed to get back to me this week or early next to see where they stand with the design for that. Then we're going to put it out to bid. I don't think I really want to wait much longer. Now, unless you have some questions about that, I want to talk about the funding for it, if you guys allow me.
Yeah, please.
I did have a meeting with the ARPA committee, if you will. They are taking, just breaking into groups right now. One of them is infrastructure. I've spoken with Kate already about this. I've spoken to the first selectman about this. I think this project here is screaming for some of the money from ARPA. I think it's a great opportunity to improve our infrastructure and not use the bonded money just yet. I think that's another
powder dry.
We are getting about little over 6.2 million, maybe 2.3 or 6.3. So, but right now we're just breaking into the groups. My infrastructure group is Martha Banks and Dan Baumgartner. So we're meeting tomorrow via Zoom just to kind of lay out what they would like to see and any input that I can have. And that sewer is the top of the list. For me, it's the first priority. I'd like to push it with the commission's approval. I'd also like to draft a letter from the commission to the committee stating our urgency to do the project and have the funds from ARPA to support it, if that's okay with you folks.
Please do.
And any other thoughts you can give me to help push this thing onto, the proper agenda and a proper approval from the folks. Now, the ARPA committee is chaired by John Zagrodzky. And like I said, we just basically had our first meeting to talk about, breaking into groups, and as we're doing right now, meeting on the side to talk about projects, I would be guessing. Any suggestions are well received, please.
How, and what's the cost of this particular project? What's the estimate?
We're looking at $800 to $1 million of construction costs, and that was a very rough estimate, but I think it was a little on the high side, but I'm not going to say that just yet. But I'm hearing good stuff from the video reporting, so that may save us some money on one end. So I'm sticking with 800 to $1 million right now.
When you're optimistic.
And I'm optimistic.
At least it doesn't sound like we're going over. So
it doesn't sound like we're going at $2 million. So I'd just like to know that you folks will support that move. And
you want to let's just go around the horn, give them consensus. Just in general, non-binding vote. Do we like the idea of nominating the Old Kings Highway South pipelining work for use of the ARPA funds, so that we could hold on to our bond approval request amount for eminent work coming with the publishing of the Sses report?
I'll go first. I have both my hands up in yes.
Okay.
I'm a yes.
I'm a yes.
Peter?
Yeah, I'm for it.
There's your consensus.
Okay. I'll work with Darren. We'll draft up something. I'd like to put it on the sewer commission letterhead, Craig, with your signature. And if we can, kind of pry some of that money towards the sewer infrastructure.
Yeah. Look, the ARPA committee's probably getting a lot of requests and they have a lot of things to weigh, and I'm sure they're going to make smart decisions. But financially, this is certainly a smart decision as far as the sewer commission is concerned.
Okay, thank you. That's it for me. Unless you have
All
some
right.
questions.
Any questions for the superintendent? Any new business? Peter, you're up.
Oh, I guess I would make a motion to join the meeting.
I have a second on his motion.
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 You can stop recording.
Everyone.
5:32 p.m.
1 hour.